Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Thank you for checking in. So we've been unpacking the Panasonic Lumix G9 and I've been trying to sort of get out and about on some field trips. Haven't really been too successful with those, just life sometimes gets in the way. But as promised, I'm going to continue trying to produce a video on a weekly basis, and this one in particular is designed more so for people starting out their photographic journey or videography journey, and they're sort of wondering what sort of camera to get. So as the name of the channel implies, it is aperture to zoom, where we cover basically everything from aperture to zoom in its entirety: composition, depth of field, setup, gear, the whole shebang, and just try and unpack these things so that we're a bit clearer in our choices. Now, firstly, thank you to those who subscribed. Thank you to those for all the nice comments. That's always much appreciated, and it encourages me to keep going with this channel. So today we're going to look at the G9 and what is the value proposition around this camera. If you thinking or you're about to buy a camera, or you want to start a little side hustle, or you want to get a YouTube channel underway, whatever the reason, and you're sort of at that juncture where you got to now buy gear, and I certainly know what it's like, because you got to consider the economics of it all. I myself started with a Panasonic Lumix G9, which was cheaper than the G9, and that camera served me very, very well. In fact, I'm recording this video on the G9 because I still believe it's a fantastic camera, both for photography and videography. And for what I was doing at the time, I was just doing, random holiday trips, making these YouTube videos and taking a little bit of photography here and there. And like I said, the Panasonic G9 and all the kit lenses that I accumulated in that time, which now works on the G9, has served me very, very well. So the first thing I'd like to start off with the Panasonic G9 is its value, the price point. All right, now consider that price point. I'll put a link in here. I think it's well under $1,000 at the moment. But when I start going through what this camera has to offer, right, even by I don't know a huge amount about other cameras, so I don't really want to go down that road of comparing, because I'm not in a position to talk. All I can do is point out the value proposition as to what it is you actually get in this camera. Okay, that's what I'm going to be covering extensively. What it is you get in this camera for that price point, and then you can weigh up those benefits and features and all that. It's all good and well packing a whole lot of features into a camera, but how does it benefit us? That's the real question we're going to be looking at. So stay tuned. So now that we got the price point, obvious benefit out of the way, I just want to start off with the functions button on this camera, and the customization around the functions button is second to none. You can be setting this camera up for photos in 1 minute, and at the flick of a switch you'll be in video mode doing 120 frames per second, right, at 10-bit video. So the customization, like I said, on this camera is absolutely phenomenal. Way too many for me to put in this short video. I've made copious amounts of videos around the G9. I'll link to some of them at the end of this video, which I encourage you to have a look at, where I unpack in its entirety what this camera has to offer from a customization perspective. Another incredible feature to mention, and it provides huge benefit, is this flip out screen, which can be as it is shown now, or you can rotate it and close it. And then that brings me to the touch buttons on this camera for quickly getting to menu settings is incredible. And then in addition to the touch buttons, the customization around you want that to be for your requirements is amazing. So certainly something to look at and explore. Another really big thing for me, which I found fascinating, and I believe it's not such a common thing that you find in cameras, but the Lumix G9 does have it. It's got the dual card slots, which comes in handy. So card slot number 1 you can allocate for photos, and card slot number 2 you can allocate for video, which I've got set up, which I just think is flipping incredible. Someone that's dabbled in a little bit of video previously, I like to know that my video is being saved on a separate card slot, and all I have to do is take out the top card slot if I want to have a look at my photos. So I think that's an amazing feature that really translates to an awesome benefit. And then let's just run through the jacks on this camera. You've obviously got your headphone jack there, which is, we know how important that. It's got an HDMI out, so if you want to add an extra screen or hook up to a monitor, or whatever the case may be. And then you've also got your power charging port, as well as your mic port on the side and your flash port in front. So in terms of jacks, the camera ticks all the boxes in that regard. Now let's just talk at some of the actual footage benefits that you get here. This shoots in 4K 60 frames per second. You can drop that down to 1080p and bump up that to 120 frames per second. Oh, I beg your pardon, it might even go up to 180 frames per second. So the slow motion capabilities within this camera is perfect. You will want for nothing. Remember, this is a starting out camera. Okay, this is not a top-end production video camera. This is perfect for starting out, and it's going to tick a lot of the boxes. So keep that in mind. So for a micro four thirds camera, yes, it's not full frame, but remember, you can bump up the settings in here, that high resolution 80 megabytes, and that's going to give you some awesome opportunities to blow up, to poster size should you need to do so. High resolution at 80 megabytes. Another thing I like within the Panasonic, I suppose, ecosystem is that you can start off with the Lumix kit lenses, which is what I've done, and I've still primarily used the kit lenses because I'm not doing anything professional as yet. But should I want to, I can then upgrade my lenses to the Olympus lenses, which is a notch up, I believe, when it comes to certain applications. Look, the Lumix kit lenses have served me well, and it's going to do the job. But it may be found wanting when you're starting to do professional work and things like that. So keep that in mind. They're kit lenses designed to perform a particular function, and that's it. So within that ecosystem, you can, like I said, use the Olympus lenses, or you can go to the Leica lenses. So you got 3 lens options, within this micro four thirds ecosystem, which gives you a gambit of options to choose from. And I think that, while you're starting out, must be a big benefit. So with all the progressive updates that Panasonic has made, I believe the video capabilities on the G9 is now up there, and I'm sure it is. I've done a little bit of video last week at the beach series I was speaking about in my previous video, and I primarily went out to try the variable frame rate for slow motion video, which I'll just show a little inset in here, and I'm quite impressed with. So even making this little video just inspires me to check out this camera some more. I've covered a decent amount of the features and benefits here, but I think there's still a lot of little hidden pearls that we can discover in this camera. Another final little, I suppose, feature or benefit or observation rather is, even though it's a micro four thirds camera, which is smaller than your full frame cameras, it's got a nice meaty feel to it. The grip's nice and sturdy. You can put on some meaty lenses and it'll give you the feel of a nice solid camera. I suppose with a battery pack underneath would make it even a bit more gruntier, but you do feel like you're working with something significant that's going to absolutely do the job. And like I said, you still got the option to upgrade those lenses. So to summarize, this camera for a beginner, this is not for you doing top end flippant production work. Okay, this is a beginner getting into the field, doing some reasonably basic photography and videography. When I say basic, still producing an amazing result though, right? For YouTube, for example, absolutely perfect. I'm doing my video, as you can see, the quality on a Lumix G7. With a firmware update here, the G9 is going to be probably better. So just consider that and keep that perspective. It is the value proposition versus the price point. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching. Welcome to those who've seen my video for the first time. Please consider subscribing, liking. As I mentioned in the beginning, aperture to zoom. I'm going to be unpacking in its entirety everything around aperture to zoom. And I'm slowly getting through these kit lenses. I need to do some more field trips with them, so those are coming. And we'll just keep progressing through this amazing camera and some other things, provided it is relative to both photography or videography. This is a bit of a short video, just paying, I suppose, kudos to the Lumix G9, because I think I've been using it for close to 4 months now. And like I said, I think I still need to put this camera through her paces. Time doesn't necessarily permit things, to happen in such a way always. But I love this camera. I think it's an amazing buy for a beginner. And I'm impressed with it. From the G7 to the G9, the changes are nothing short of spectacular. So look, I hope that helps you make the decision. And there are other cameras out there. I can only speak for the Panasonic Lumix G9 and what those features and benefits are like, and it certainly ticks my boxes, and I'm sure it'll even edge slightly into some pro work stuff, but I say that with a caveat that obviously it's around what it is you're doing personally and what your requirements are. So keep that in mind. I hope that helps when you're making a purchase. Consider using the links down below. I've sent links to Amazon for that camera, and as you can see, my first point was around the price point. You can't get better than that. Alright guys, catch you in the next video. Over and out. Bye bye.